So before we were talking about pressing the wrong buttons before we got started, and I did it 3 times. So we got 3 different videos. All right, but we finally got the right one. And tonight, of course, we probably got the right guest too. One everybody recognizes, doesn't need any introduction. Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. Mike, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Really good.
Thanks for joining us. I have so coming up on the Derby, I just went through all these numbers, and this one looks pretty wide open to me. You've been through a few of these before. Tell me, from your perspective, how are things different for you than from when you first got started, and how are they the same in terms of your experience at the Derby?
I mean, they're all pretty much. I mean, they're the same. I guess you handle them different through different stages of your career. I mean, early on, the first few where you're so excited you can't sleep for a week out, man, if not further. But as you gain experience and grow older and get the opportunity to have ridden a few of these, you learn to bottle, kind of learn how to handle that energy and use it at the right time.
Indeed. So speaking of using energy at the right time, your horse, is it Taiba? How do they pronounce that?
I guess it'd be Taiba.
Taiba?
Yeah, so it's the way I understand it anyway, which has several different meanings, but I guess it kind of means something to do with real good. So I believe that's one I'm going to go with.
Yeah, so it goes real good. So speaking of real good, how hard did you have to work to beat Messier in the Santa Anita Derby?
Yeah, I had to, I would say from just inside the 3/8 pole to the 8th pole, I had to, ask him to get to him and to get on by him. But the good thing is that, well, not only that he did, once he did, seem to hit another gear and really finish up the race really, really in good order with a lot of energy, which was surprising coming off of just a maiden race,
Mm-hmm. So in terms of, you've been on some pretty good ones in your career, obviously. How does this one feel relative to some of the better horses that you've ridden?
Oh, he's got an abundance of talent, man. He's an extremely talented horse, man. He's got all the tools that it takes. He's got that high cruising speed. He's quick out of the gate. Got a great mind. You can turn him off and on, which is really good. So that's, he's not a need to lead type, but he could sit close if need be. And if they're going I wouldn't be surprised if he'd be on the lead. I mean, he's fast enough to be if you want him to be. I mean, that's just the kind of horse he is, but yet he'll settle if you need be. So it just, we'll play the break. Hopefully, good Lord's willing, we jump well and we'll let him run on out of there and let him get comfortable and see where that's at. Take a look to my inside, to my out, see who's doing what, and we'll figure it out as the race goes. But it's a really, really tough Derby, man. It's a wide open Derby. There's about 10 in there. You wouldn't be shocked at all if they jumped up and win.
I put it at 12. So after I went through it, a dozen out of the 20, you can make a case for sure.
You can make a really good case for it. And after that, I mean, you wouldn't be, completely shocked without maybe one or two of them in there. Other than that, I mean, it's a great Derby.
Yeah, I think it's going to be wide open as well. Now, last year you told us that how horses train at Churchill because it's a peculiar track in terms of being cuppy. You said sometimes like peanut butter, I think was the term that you used. Taiba hasn't had a workout there yet, has he?
No, he won't breeze there. He had his last work here at Santa Anita, which was 3/4 and 12 and change, which was really good for him. He's not a big workhorse, but he worked really well here.
All right. One quick question for you from Jay Marco. Says, how many pairs of goggles will you wear for the Derby?
I always wear 6. That's kind of my number that I've always, unless I absolutely know Giacomo, I might have had 7 on there for him because I knew he'd be way back. But most of the time it's usually 6.
One for good luck, right? And then Jeff Doyle says, how, from your perspective, is the Derby different than any other race? Maybe from the experience, like before the race, and then during the race, and then after the race.
Well, your normal 1.25 miles. I mean, this is a 1.25 miles that's, I mean, it's a race from the first step, man. I mean, people are jockeying for position, trying to get a good spot where they, feel they need to be. So it's probably the toughest 1.25 miles that we'll run in the United States anyway, period. And then it's a different race just because, I mean, you as a spectator or as a fan going to the race, I mean, it's different for you in it. I mean, it really, I mean, it's not just some other race you're watching. I mean, you can feel the electricity in the air, the crowd, and it's just amazing. And you can't, it's hard to describe. I hope that everyone gets to experience it one time.
Hey, Mike. So do you watch the post position draw like everybody else? And what did you think of the draw number 12?
Yeah, no, I watch it like everybody else, and you know, rooting for a good spot or hoping, praying for a good spot. And I thought we drew really well. If you had a downside about the 12th spot, I mean, it would be that you'd probably load a little early, so it'll be a split load. So it's going to be they'll probably start 111. 212, 313, 414, like that. So you'll sit in there a little while, but he's a really good, calm horse. He's a good horse in the gate. They schooled him this morning. He stood extra long this morning. He had no problem with it. The good and bad thing about these new gates is it's one gate. It's not the big old long two, so it gives everybody a fair chance. They're a bit narrower, so it keeps a horse standing still a lot better than a horse that, a gate that was a little wider and they can move around a lot more in, which is good. The only down part about these gates, if you're on a really big horse, especially the horse that's got a lot of flesh in behind, there's a lot of padding back there. So sometimes a few of us had a little bit of a problem last year leaving there because, when they drop to break, they'll drop underneath that pad and it's like they get kind of halfway stuck on it a little bit to come out. But that's if you're on just a really, big horse with a lot of muscle, a lot of flesh back there. Most of the 3-year-olds aren't that big, but there's always one or two that are, and I happen to be on one of them. That was the first time we ran out of them, but they're great. I think it makes the race a whole lot fairer. It keeps horses straighter in there. The one horse has a much better shot. I mean, before, you didn't want to draw the one hole whatsoever, but I don't think it's that big of a deal nowadays because you have some room in between you and the rail. Whereas before, you literally had to take 2 or 3 steps out to the right to even get around the rail the first time around there. So, and the 20 pole isn't on the outside fence. They got a better shot at it as well. So it makes the race a lot fairer. And I like what we drew. Most of the speeds to my inside. You might have a horse or two with a little speed on my outside. But this horse is quick himself. So we'll come away from there running and we'll see where that puts him.
The other thing that all the fans are watching is the weather. How much would that change your game plan if it is sloppy?
It really doesn't. A really good thing about Churchill Downs is that when it does get rain, that the surface really tightens up. It gets really tight, which is good. A lot of racetracks, each track handles the rain differently, and they'll get real deep and loose. But Churchill actually gets really firm and tight, so it's not a bad track when it's wet.
I have a question from Eddie C on Twitter. He said to ask you about your Aunt Nedra and Ann Hansen and your love for Santa Fe, New Mexico, and its art history.
Oh, I love Santa Fe, man. If you've never been there, it's a magical little town, man. It's beautiful, especially during the holidays. And there's some wonderful artists and a big arts town. And my aunt has a gallery there, Nidra Matucci's gallery. That's a beautiful gallery that she has. So if you ever go visit.
Absolutely, for sure. Robert Bryan says, and I wonder about this too, because you got that long break in between the race before the Derby and then the Derby while they build up all the hype on TV and stuff. So Robert asked, is there a game? I'm guessing he's saying, is there gamemanship between the jockeys before the race in that long window?
It's funny. Yeah, we kind of gather around and laugh a little bit and joke and try to take, what would you call it?
The edge off.
Yeah, just kid around a little bit, and then all of a sudden they'll call us for. We've already weighed in. They'll call us for the Derby picture. We all gather up and they have us sit down and we take a Derby picture every year. And as soon as that Derby picture, it's funny how the room changes. It goes from joking around, and as soon as that picture's over, man, it's like, it's like quiet, buddy. You can't. There ain't no more joking around. No. You can't play with your buddy next to you anymore.
So in the jocks room, who is the funniest one?
Oh, it all depends. I guess we all have our moments, man. If you've ever been in a jocks room, a locker room of any sorts, man. Everyone thinks they're a funny guy, man. One guy thinks he's funnier than the next.
I can imagine. So
back in the day, they said Shoemaker was the funniest. That's what they used to say back in the day.
Is there anyone that talks like a lot of like crap before the races? Like, I'm gonna get you.
No, Angel Cordero used to be the big talker. You know, he talked to Smack, you know, before, but you know, he'd back you. He was amazing. You know, he was just an amazing athlete. But he'd be the intimidator, you so to say.
So,
but those guys have all retired. So now, you know, I'm the older guy in there now, man. So it's me and Johnny are the older ones in there. So it's a younger crew, but they're a bunch of great, wonderful young men, man, and they're extremely talented, man. It's great to get the opportunity to ride with them.
So we mentioned that you and I think there's maybe up to 12 that have a good shot to win here. Gary Fitzpatrick says, of all those 12, aside from your horse, which one scares you the most?
Anyone who can run by me or who's faster than me, really. I mean, I have the utmost respect for every horse in the Derby. I mean, look at Mind That Bird. You know, look at Giacomo, was 50-1 when he won the Derby. I mean, they could come from anywhere depending on you know, the pace of the race and what happens. So, you know, you certainly respect all horses. Man, I'm telling you, each horse that won the major Derby preps all look really good going into this race. They really do. And the horses that finish second, third behind them look really good. Like Charge It, you know, finished second the Florida Derby, man. He ran green through the lane. I mean, he's another really talented colt. There's so many talented horses in this race. It's going to be a great Derby. I'm really excited about it. I'm really up for it. I can't wait.
So Jay Marco says, if the early fractions happen to go 22 and 45, do you think speed will die out in the slop, or can it power through?
22:45 is pretty rapid. You know, it just depends. I mean, I'll never say it can't be done, because I've seen it all in horse racing, man. It's incredible. But that'd be a pretty fast pace. I don't think you see as many of them those now since we've gotten into the point system. Do you? You know, in the past, remember we used to have a lot of sprinters in there that were really fast. So you would see a 22:45 all the time. It was pretty common. Once in a while you wouldn't, but most of the time you would. But now with the point system, you know, you see more reasonable, yet quick, because they're supposed to be. They're good horses. They're gonna go quick, but you don't see them going as fast as they used to whenever they didn't have the point system in place.
So Timothy Murray wants to know, looking at the jockeys in North America, which ones do you see rising? Who do you think are the best upcoming jockeys, or maybe the ones that you have your eye on the most?
You know, man, there's like I said earlier, man, there's so many young, talented riders. These guys are really good, man. It's like all sports. I mean, you know, fitness is different. The way they take care of themselves and their bodies is different than back in the day. You know, these kids they study more film, which we didn't have. You know, back when I was a young rider, I mean, you know, we didn't have phones back then. Mm-hmm. So I mean, these kids are extremely talented. There's so many of them, and you know who they all are. They're already showing who they are right now. You know, Flavian's gone from the West Coast back east, and he's making a big splash back there, and he's doing really well. And you got the Ortiz brothers, Gaffleone. You got so many
good young jockeys for sure.
Man, I mean, these kids are just, all of them are extremely talented, very capable, and very strong, man. Very strong finishers. So it's, you know, any one of them who has a little more horse than me, I'm worried about.
Yeah, I can imagine. Marco Antonio Guerrero has a question about the how many. I'm going to kind of rephrase this question. How many more derbies do you think you got in you?
As many really good horses as I get the opportunity to ride. You know, I mean, man, I've been blessed to, you know, to have ridden a lot of horses, and up until about a month ago, I didn't think I'd have one, and then here comes a horse like Taiba. That just basically just fell right into my lap. And so we're going to try and make the most of it. You know, as we all know, look, I'm at the back end of my career, so I'm going to really appreciate and enjoy this Derby. And if I'm blessed to have another one or two, then amen. And if this is the last one, well, let's make it count.
Yeah, indeed. Right. Go out on top, right?
Yeah. Piggyback on that. crazy scenario, you win the Triple Crown with Tabia. Any thoughts of going out on top?
That's a great question. Who wouldn't want to go out winning the Triple Crown, right? I mean, it would be amazing to do. But man, I'm enjoying myself so much as well, and I'm in good shape. I'm in incredible shape for my age. If I did anything, like I've always said, if I did anything right, it was really take up physical fitness at a young age, and it's really paying off for me right now. And then you would have that energy that you had just won the Triple Crown. I mean, dude, it'd be hard to stop, man.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, we could see, like I mentioned from the background, you're still out in California. So when you get out to Louisville on Derby Day, what's your day like? I mean, do you get up, do you eat, do you go through a normal routine, or is there some stuff because of the Derby that gets you kind of out of your normal routine?
No, other than you would go to the room much earlier than you normally would. I mean, you hate to be there that long, but because of traffic, you certainly want to get there and get comfortable. And yeah, good thing about Churchill, they have a wonderful jocks room, and you can lounge around and hit the sauna, get a massage. You got a chiropractor in there, man. You can relax, watch some TV. That's about the only thing. You'd get up a little extra early, and especially depending if you're riding a lot throughout that day. I'm just riding the Derby, so I mean, I can afford to go in a little bit later, but I'll still go in pretty early.
So Juan Santana asks, tell us about Justify. Have you seen him lately, and what's going on with Justify?
He's doing well. From what I hear, his babies have sold well. They look good. He's doing well. I won't get to see him on this trip, but my wife was going to go visit with him, and some friends of mine. They're going up there on probably either, I guess maybe on Friday morning they're going to head up there. But I have to ride, so I gotta head into the jocks room. But I hear he's doing good. I talked to some people there at the farm the other day, and they were telling me how good he's doing. So he's all right.
So how many mounts do you have on Friday?
I was on 2, but one had a scratch, so just one now.
So one on Friday, one on Saturday. All right. So hopefully you bring them home
tomorrow as well.
Sadiq says he knows you're going to make history this weekend, so we got to go with that, right?
I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. But you don't want to be. You do want to be in the position Shawn asked you if you're going to be in, but at the same time, you don't want that going. Now that Shawn's planted the seed, you'll be thinking, should I stay? Should I go?
No. I mean, I guess look. People keep asking me when are you going to retire. I guess when, I don't know, I get the sign or my body just tells me that's it, or I feel like I'm not. I'm extremely competitive, and I'm very hard on myself. So if I feel like I'm getting in the way instead of helping, I'll pull the plug right away. Right now, I feel like I still got a lot to offer, and I'm gonna give it all I got.
So when the day does come, do you feel like you're going to stay in horse racing, maybe as a trainer, as an announcer? Where do you see yourself kind of fitting in afterwards?
I love to speak. So I'm certainly gonna do my best to stay in the game. I think the easiest, well, the first thing I think I'd try to see if I was any good at it first of all, and if I enjoyed it, would probably be commentating to see how it went. If I had a knack for it, well then great. And because I know if I'm a little bit good at it to start with, I'll really want to work hard at getting better at it. And if it's just something that I feel like this ain't for me, I'm lost, then that'll end quick. But hopefully that'll be the first thing that pops up, and I take a hold of it and make a bit of a career out of it.
Well, you're always welcome to practice with us as long as you want.
Yeah, sure. This is practice, getting the opportunity to speak to you guys. I mean, it always is.
Absolutely. Shawn, any more questions for Mike?
Well, my question is, so after the race, as a fan, you're watching and all that, you get the 2 minutes and it's over. And then you kind of have all that build up and now it's over. What's your thoughts as jockey? Is it, okay, let's get back to normal? What's your thoughts after the race, after this whole thing's over?
Well, it all depends on the trip you had and how well you ran. Some guys, as you well know, man, there's a lot of us a lot of people get some pretty rough trips in the Derby, man, and they didn't get the opportunity they like. That's why I always pray for a fair, just everyone get a fair shot, because you just hate it when someone, you've been that guy before. You know what it's like when someone doesn't get a when you don't get a fair shot. So you just pray that everyone gets a fair shot at it, and we have a great, safe race. And there's going to be some people hanging their heads, and there'll be some people that are very, very happy and content with the way their horses ran. And then of course, you're going to have the winner, and it's life changing, buddy. That guy's life has just changed.
So speaking of which, sorry, Shawn, speaking of which, I've heard from other folks we've had on the show that when you win your first race, there's a little bit of an initiation. So if you're a jockey who wins your first Kentucky Derby, when you get back into the jocks room, what's that experience like?
Well, if there's anyone left in there, because usually they got you for quite a while, so usually everybody's kind of cleared out of there. But there'll be a few people, of course, a lot of the ballots, and a few people left in there, and of course your family. And it's just a really quick mini celebration in there, really, when you get back. It's like it's about like you see in any of the sporting events. You'll have some champagne flying, and it's a cool little thing. And then you hurry up and run and get dressed, and they have another little presentation in the museum, in the Derby Museum. And then after that, man, it's off to different restaurants, different places to make a stop by and celebrate a little bit.
So what's your favorite restaurant in Louisville, where folks might have to find you after the race?
Oh, that'll always be Jeff Ruby's. Always.
I'm sure they're all reservationed out already, right?
They probably are, but man, what a place it is, man! It's incredible, man. It's absolutely love it. Even before I became family with that organization, and with Jeff and all of his family, it was always a place to be. So it still is. They do a wonderful job.
One final question for you, Mike: does the 20-horse field worry at all with such a lightly raced horse?
I mean, a 20-horse field worries you with a horse that's run 10, 15 times, to be honest with you. There's 20 horses in there, man. If you're not quite as quick as a few of them, I mean, it's a wave. It can come from both sides, and man, next thing you know, you can get shuffled, much farther back than you anticipated if it was a 10-horse field or a 14-horse field or whatever. So a 20-horse field is always tough. And yeah, we're on a very lightly raced horse, so we're certainly hoping that we jump well and get out of most of that right off the bat.
Absolutely, for sure. Shawn, any more questions?
Well, I have a question. I bring this up a lot on the show. You got your NFL stars, you got your baseball stars. They would never call, text me, anything like that. You do whenever. Why is it so important for you to be that type of guy where you always have the time for your fans and stuff like that, and you promote the sport so well compared to other sports and their stars?
Well, that's an interesting question. Just out of respect, first and foremost, if you're going to take the time out of your busy schedule to reach out to me and want to talk to me, well, I'm certainly going to take the time to reach back to you. And I enjoy talking about a sport I love. I mean, I love talking horses, man. It's just what I am. It's what I eat, drink, and sleep, man. I mean, it's everything to me. But and it's fun to get a chance to, especially nowadays, with shows like this where you can take questions from people just that are watching, and stuff like that. They got it's pretty neat. I'd be amazing if man, back in the day, Michael Jordan would have answered my question. And I'm not comparing myself to him by no means, but I'm just saying, it'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, I always say Tom Brady doesn't text my phone or call my phone. We've tried, we can't reach him, but you're on that level, and you do. So,
well,
thank you for that.
Yes, we greatly appreciate that. And if you run it across Tom, tell him quit playing hard to get.
I'll tell him.
Well, we appreciate your time tonight, Mike. We hope you have a very safe flight out to Louisville, safe trip around the track Friday and Saturday, and then a safe trip back home.
Amen. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Do the same.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All righty, Shawn. As always, you got the big head today now because we didn't let the guests edit the show right there, right?
Yeah, you gotta leave it go the other way.
So, all right. Well, that was a lot of fun. I went through this race, Shawn. Yesterday, you were talking about how there's so many horses that should be more than 20 to 30 to 1. I went through this race, and honestly, I can make a case for 12 horses. No question about it. Thank you,
But you
Jay.
had
We
3 or 4
appreciate
that should be higher than 30-1, correct?
Yeah, probably higher than 30-1. Appreciate the kind words, Jeff. Appreciate the kind words, Jay. And we certainly appreciate everybody who liked the show. Liz Calloway Gooch, I got that right. Tracy Singh, thank you for the love on Facebook. Casey Hines, Shadiq, we appreciate it. Marco Antonio Guerrera, Kathy Wood, Joe Sapienza, I hope I got that right. Juan Santana, Lou Rapp, Terry Houghton, and others, we appreciate. Thank you for giving us the thumbs up on Facebook. While you're here on Facebook, thank you, Mary. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Sean's just wrapping up a very fun contest that a lot of folks got involved in, the Jockey Survivor. We'll be running some other contests shortly. But in any case, Sean, I was thinking about all these horses, man. Ooh, it's going to be a tough one to pick the winner.
You know what? It's always tough. It's always tough for me. This year I don't like the favorite. I don't like Zandon. So I could be completely wrong on that. This might be the year. I mean, what is it? 6 of the last 8 years, the favorite has won too. So
well, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the favorite at post time.
no, it doesn't. And I still think it probably will be Epicenter, but we'll see. Yeah, it's tough. I have my few horses that I definitely want to use, and I hope I catch the break this year. I mean,
well, I'm just looking at the way the race sets up, Sean. I think there's no question Epicenter gets to the lead. He breaks sharp. He breaks sharper than everybody else. If you look at how they break. Number 2, his early pace figures doesn't have anything to clear on the inside. So I think he's going to get the jump on Messier. Mike's going to have to clear. If you look, there's like a pack of horses that want to be in the presser position. There's going to be, and there's not a real big difference between the speed numbers and fractions all across the board. I just think at Epicenter is going to break the fastest. He typically gets out of the gate the quickest of the fast horses. And when you look at the early pace numbers, the 3 of them, Tabia, Epicenter, and Messier, all have very similar early pace numbers. So the one that breaks the quickest is usually going to get the jump on those 3. That's going to be, I think that you're going to see Epicenter in the same spot you saw Medina Spirit in last year.
So the horse to the outside of Epicenter, I've heard a lot about this horse. Summer is tomorrow. It's supposedly really quick, and that's going to be, that's what Gary Fitzpatrick's going with right now.
The horse that ran in the Dubai Derby, the Dubai Cup.
Yeah. So he apparently is going to be on the lead. He's not going to make it all the way around, but it will be a matter of how he sets the pace and who goes with him. So
we'll see if that's the way it works out.
Yeah,
I don't know that he's faced anything like he's going to face in this field today on Friday on Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets to the lead, but I feel like you're still going to see Epicenter is going to be right there and make him work to get that lead, because if you're one of those speed horses, I don't think you want to see those people go around you and then trap you in traffic up against the rail as the inside horse, as an inside speed horse. I think he'll be on the gas to make sure he has the lead.
Yeah,
Messier going to be tough. What's up with the chainsaws? Yeah, Robert, we're going to get that. We've been working on some stuff today, so we're going to get to the chainsaws, sure. Messier is going to be tough too. He is of the early pace horses. Messier is the one that has the best late pace of the group, but he does kind of struggle a little bit sometimes when he gets headed. So I think he might have some difficulties getting to the front, or he might have to work too hard to get there.
What surprises me is the Mo Dangle talk. You always say, you got to stay away from those Wood Memorial winners. He won there. They always say, stay away from the rail. He's got the rail, but yet people are still picking him to win.
Well, he does have a lot of he's got a lot of late punch. There's no question about that. The thing that concerns me about him, not where he necessarily comes from, but that speed figure jumped so much last race. So is he at a new level, or does he bounce? That's the question.
Yeah, and I just feel like, and I feel like as closer, I'd have more confidence in the horse and get a lot more value with a horse like Barbara Road than Mo Dangle. Plus, I wouldn't have to worry about the rail. So, I
don't think the rail is so much of an issue as it used to be, because as Mike mentioned, and our friend Chris Parmalu sent me a picture. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick, and you can see the big difference. And this is what Mike was talking about a little bit earlier. So hold on, I'll bring it up. And there is a big difference between the two, absolutely 100% for sure. Let me see if I can bring it up and then blow it up so that you can see. And this is what Mike was talking about just now too. So How do I make it bigger?
I just feel like, and I forget the horse's name, but last year Irad was on the rail. The horse was 6-1, and there was some talk about that horse on the rail not. And he
So
got
here's the picture.
start.
This is
Yeah.
the new one. So you can see where the one horse breaks. He come down this line. This is the old one, and this is what Mike was talking about before, where you had the turn in.
Get over.
Right. That's not the case anymore. So I don't know that the one rail is going to be as difficult as it has been in the. I don't think it's going to be a penalty like it's been. Now I think it actually opens up the one to have a shot to get in there.
But we've had these gates for how many years now, right? 3 or 4?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how long they've had them, but are we going to? We'll have Monmouth for over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet for sure, 100%. Robert Bryan, every track, every single day. So I don't think that's going to be the case, but Mo Dangle does have some of the best late punch. In fact, I think he's got the most late punch in the field overall, Shawn. So I don't know that he's necessarily going to win, but I do think he'll be coming hard for Irad at the end. And the question is, and I don't know how far off. I think Irad might just get him out a little bit early to get himself in a good position. So he's got the most late punch. The favorite has the second most late punch, but there's a whole lot in here. I mean, White Abario beat a lot of these horses, but I don't know how this race sets up for him because he's not going to be able to get to the front. He doesn't have more late kick than some of the other horses. And his lone race at Churchill Downs was his worst by far. So
yeah, that part of the Churchill race, that would be the concern. I'm not really concerned. The post position 15, I think he can pick where he wants to be. He's going to stalk the leaders. I'm not concerned about that, how the race sets up. But I would be concerned.
I am concerned about how the race sets up for him because he's not going to be near the front. And he doesn't have some of the late pace that some of the other horses have. And I feel like he's got to be further up front to take advantage of his skills.
You don't think he'll be in that second wave? I feel like he'll be in that second wave of horses there.
That second wave of horses, Shawn, can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 deep.
So, yeah. So you're 12 winners that have a shot, basically, all right there.
Well, no, some of them I don't feel like have a shot in that group. I just feel like you're going to get 3 or 4 horses that get out towards the front that are going to be your clear pace setters, and then a whole bunch that like to chase, and then you got about 7 or 8 that like to close. And I think the closers could have some pace to get into as some of those middle horses get a little bit frisky, Shawn, for sure.
Yeah,
it was a tough one for me, man. But I think that you're going to see. I think what you'll see is you'll see Messier and you'll see Epicenter make a bid for the lead. And whichever one gets the lead, I think will have the advantage in the race with a chance to do like so many other horses have done recently, get to the front and take them from end to end on the lead.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep hearing about Summers tomorrow, so we'll see.
Do I think speed holds? The thing is, it always holds in the Derby. I think.
Well, it's not just the Derby. I mean, a lot of races at Churchill overall. Watching some of the races today, and they were in the slop. That horse gets loose and they hold on. I mean, Churchill sometimes plays fair, but I don't know, more than
and like Matt Carruthers told us, when you have these big days, they soup up the tracks and it absolutely favors speed horses. So they're going to have absolutely with that.
And what we talk about all the time too is all the traffic. So it takes a horse longer to get through that traffic. So that's why the speed holds up a lot of time. You're clear out front, you're getting a trip you want, and everybody else is struggling to get through.
Trying to figure out where they want to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk a little bit of news, Shawn. Well, let's start here instead. The weather. You mentioned the weather. The National Weather Service says there's a 50% chance of rain on Derby Day. Looking at the days before that, though, there's plenty of rain forecast between now and Saturday. But the track apparently dries out pretty quick. So I expect the track will probably be a little bit wet come Saturday.
Yeah, probably. But if it doesn't rain Saturday, I'd imagine they'd be able to get it to a fast track by the time Derby comes. So it's always funny. And I think you've brought this up, maybe not, maybe somebody else, but it says 50% chance of rain, which also means there's 50% chance of no rain, but people just keep talking about the rain and who's going to.
Well, that's not really what it means.
Well, I know.
What it means is that there's 50% of the area will have rain and 50% of the area won't have rain. Not that there's a 50-50 chance that it rains. I didn't know that either, but then I went to school to be a journalist, and that's what the meteorologist came in and told us. The guy Skilling that used to be on WGN.
Well, if that's the case, then they should be able to tell you what the percentage of it is to rain in that area.
Well, they don't know exactly which cloud's going to drop the rain, Sean. But you know who else is going to make it rain, Sean? Mattress Mack, $4 million he's going to bet. He's not maybe going to bet maybe not going to bet just the favorite this time. Maybe he's going to split his money between the horses. What do you think about that?
Yeah, which are the two horses? Obviously Epicenter, and who's the other one now?
Well, it looks like whoever the favorite's going to be, because he says he's going to bet the favorite. So I'm imagine whoever's, because isn't his deal if the favorite wins, you get the mattress?
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah.
So whoever
you might have to do it with Landon now. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've been on the backside to about 15 rainy derbies. That's a lot. I haven't even been to one yet. I keep asking for media credentials, and I keep getting back the laughing emoji. Anyway, so here's some news that's going to make Terry happy. Sean, I bet you can probably guess what it is.
Grants Pass is going to run sometime in the summer, right?
Yes, there you go, Terry. You can make your trip up to Oregon like you normally do. Your annual trek to Grants Pass. Do so very happily. And then finally, that walk over to Slop. Yes, I used to groom. All right, cool. Sounds like fun. That walk over to Slop, though. So let's talk finally, Sean, about the HISA. They originally had one agency to do the drug testing. Now they find another 2 months out. And these are the same folks that have done some work for drug enforcement in the NFL, the NBA, MLB, and NCAA. I would say, based upon the history of some of the stuff that goes on in football and baseball, that, well, maybe they ought to get a different tester.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but then again, baseball, their numbers are down. So maybe they did clean it up a little bit.
Got to bring back Sammy and McGuire, huh?
Yeah. I mean,
and Barry Bonds.
Amazingly, they cleaned it up, but they made more of a boring product out of that. So
I think a lot of the boring product comes from the analytics, Sean. Yeah. Not necessarily that the players are not juicing, because the analytics say try to hit a home run. So it's either strike out, hit a home run, or walk. Back when we were kids, I remember guys like Ozzie Smith would just beat the ball down, or what was it? Tony McGee, I think, was the leadoff hitter. They would just chop that ball down into the to the St. Louis AstroTurf and just outrun the ball to first base. You just don't see that anymore.
No, not at all. But hey, anything we can do to clean up the drugs in the sport, we definitely need to do that.
Hey, maybe they ought to test a few people hosting shows too. Right?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, Sean. I'm only kidding. The only drug I take is caffeine, and too much of it through Mountain Dew. All right, so tomorrow night, Sean, we're going to be back with yet one other guest that's going to be involved in the Kentucky Derby. Who do we have tomorrow night?
Christophe Lemire. He'll be riding the Japan horse in the Kentucky Derby, number 7, Crown Pride. Yep.
And what do you do with that horse? Did you see that workout?
Yeah, they work out differently, and
thank you, Tim. We appreciate that.
Yeah, they work out differently, and they keep their workout the same over here. So it's a total different thing.
Your son broke his arm at Ozzie Smith's playground. Well, hopefully Ozzie helped pay with the medical bills there. It seemed like he's a nice guy. Never met him, though, personally, but just a different brand of baseball back then for sure, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be in Louisville, cash some tickets, see you all at the windows. Good luck, Gary. We hope those money pools, and I think we've talked about this before, Sean, whether you're a casual, so when we talk with like Bill Krackenberger, right?
Bill Krackenberger, yep.
And he mentioned he won't bet on horse racing because of the takeout and all that sort of stuff and not getting fair odds. But if you're going to bet as a casual fan, you have to bet on Derby weekend if you're a bettor, because those money pools are so big that if you happen to catch a couple nice shots in there, you're going to end up collecting some big tickets, Gary. So I hope absolutely that you do find some shots, you cash some tickets. I hope everybody finds some shots. Good. And good to hear that Ozzie was nice about that. He seemed like he was that kind of guy, stand-up dude. So make sure if you make sure that you're 100% prepared. We'll talk tomorrow night with the jockey who's riding on Crown Pride. Thursday night, it's going to be me, Sean. It's going to be crowded in here. Me, Sean, Terry, Tom. It's going to be Eddie C., Chris Parmalu, and Jared. I don't know that any of us will get in a word over Jared, but we'll all try. We're going to go over to Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby double.
And there is another thing I know we're putting a wagering guide together. The other thing we're going to release is I'm talking to everybody that's been on the show, kind of friends of the show and stuff, to get their Derby pick, and we'll put an article together. And it's funny you bring up Bill Krackomberger. I texted him today, and
He gave you a pick?
He gave me a pick, and he laid some money down on it. He also showed me a chart. I'll see if I can share this chart. He shared me a chart where you can get the best value for all the horses as well.
So if you're in Vegas or online?
Probably online, I believe.
Because they just passed the rule in Vegas recently where before they didn't have it, you couldn't bet in the Derby pool in Vegas, only in the pool set up by that particular casino.
So what's funny is you'll be very interested on who he played. So
I will be.
Yeah, you will be.
Why, he played White Barrio?
No, I can't. I'm not going to tell you. We'll save it. But
all right.
Yeah, you'll be really interested to see who he played. And then he did bring up about the pools and not being a fan of all the pools and stuff again.
But they're big pools, so
he's definitely playing it this weekend, though. But
Terry and I will be back tomorrow at noon to continue sharpening our saw at Churchill Downs. Again today, the bike started out nice and down the middle. I hit the hot dog pick 4 twice because of a scratch, so happy about that. But missed in the back end. So hopefully tomorrow we can keep the bike on the path from the beginning of the card to the end of the card, Shawn. Thursday, Terry and I will be we'll go back to Belmont so we can get a little bit of break. The wager guys should be out tomorrow, so we'll let you know all about that once it's out. And then Friday, we're just going to sit back because we've all been really busting our rear ends to this point. Take off on Friday, take off on Saturday, and then Terry and I will be back. I'm not really taking off on Saturday. My son is graduating from college, so I have to go and celebrate that with him. It's been a long, hard road, and thankfully for him, it's time to go out in the real world and stop living off dad. Well, congratulations to your son. It's definitely an accomplishment and definitely something for you to be proud of. I can't believe I have a kid graduating from college. Man, we're getting old. All right, Shawn, that wraps it up. We took it from wire to wire this Tuesday. Tomorrow will be your sad day till we get back here again tomorrow with Terry. Well, one thing you can do is head over to horseracingtoday.net, click on HRT gear, get yourself a Horse Racing Today shirt. You'll look better. Unquestionably, it makes you a better handicapper. And between now and the Derby, I think you actually get 15% off. So head on over there and do that. We'd appreciate the support. That ends it for today, Shawn. As always, we hope everybody had a fun time at the show. I know I did. I appreciate Mike coming. And until we meet again, we hope that your night and your day and everything that you do, including me pressing the right button here, ends up in the winner circle. Absolutely. Have a great night.